You're listening to the Heroes Power Hour presented by BlizzPro.com. Your hosts, Balrog fan Zexorus and DJ Tyrant. Welcome everyone to the Heroes Power Hour. This is episode number 65 and we have so much to talk about. Thank you everyone for being patient while we were on our break. I was in the middle of moving and among various things that caused us to take a little bit of a break, but we are back in time for one of the biggest patches that Blizzard has ever put out for Heroes. Once again, this is Heroes of the Storm Power Hour. The Heroes of the Storm podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. I'm your host, DJ Tyrant. With me, as always, is the great crew here. First up is Balrog fan. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, man? I am so fresh and recharged, and I'm loving Heroes. I think, I haven't played a lot of the patch. We played like probably 3 or 4 matches before the show, but I think I really like where it's at right now.
It's definitely, it's definitely some interesting changes.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's good.
I'm sure I'll be raging by the middle of the gaming portion.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right now, nothing but love.
And always that laugh you hear in the background is a Zexorus. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Enjoyed the time I had off, played some Heroes, did some smurfing. That was enjoyable. But really just doing other things. That's not Pokemon Go.
And there in the corner is P-Flame G. How have you been doing, my friend?
I am playing Pokemon Go.
I am too. I just started today, actually.
I'm not playing as much as I want to. I got other stuff going on. But yeah, it was a good 2-week break. I played a lot of WoW. I got my legendary ring just in time.
A lot of people are seeming to kind of get back into WoW as the expansion comes closer.
Yeah, the Legion movie was good, and Legion is about to drop, and everything's kind of coming together. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, most definitely.
So.
Yeah, that movie ripped me back in with a fury. I was like, I'm sure when Blizzard released that movie, they knew that people like me were going to be back in.
Yeah, I wish I could see that data. That would be so fascinating to see the amount of people that resubbed or started a sub for WoW or something. That would be really interesting to see that. But anyways, this is the Heroes of the Storm podcast. We'll talk a little bit about our weeks in gaming. I'll start off and say that I didn't play as much as I would have liked because of lack of internet, but internet came in last Friday and I got asked by ESL to cast the North American qualifiers, so I did that this past Sunday with Bob Bowie, which was really awesome, and seeing the roster apocalypse come to pass, I guess, was very interesting to see how the teams stack up now. And the other day I played a little bit of unranked draft with Willie and Haffengrim, one of our patrons and fan supporters. So that was a lot of fun to get back in the swing of things. So I'm excited to play some more Heroes this week and check that out. Charlie, have you been able to play a bit or no?
Yeah, I missed. I haven't been on the show in 3 weeks because I missed the last show because I had a concert to go to. So I didn't really get a chance to talk about my placement, but I did end up placing into Silver 2, which I was pretty happy with. I went 8-2 in my placement matches. I did very well. I felt, especially with Sagara and Diablo, 2 heroes I've always felt very strong on, and I got a chance to play a little bit, probably like one night during that break. Honestly, WoW, it has sunk its hooks into me, so I've been doing that a lot. And then I got over my Overwatch crack addiction with a World of Warcraft heroin addiction. So it's it's not really a good step down program, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But with these changes in heroes, I'm very excited. I love this game, and I'm glad to see a lot of the heroes are kind of getting pushed in a direction where they're more and more playable. I got to play a game with Kerrigan earlier, and granted the other team was a bit on the derp side, I felt stronger with her than I have ever felt with her in a long time, especially chasing down Tracers and Gul'dans. Like, it was fun to punish those heroes.
Oh yeah. And Zex, how about you? I know you've kind of been experimenting a bit with a Smurf account there. How has that been going for you?
Well, according to Hot Slogs, I'm master rank, so there's that. But like all I've done on that account is just play DPS heroes. So, but other than that, it's I got a few games in with Charlie and Carl today, and they felt the might of the bone spear, and really, it's just like I've kind of set everything down for a bit and just took care of things that I wanted to take care of and play games that other games that I've been wanting to play for a while. It's been enjoyable, but now with this new patch, I'm ready to jump back in. One thing I will note is there's no Easter egg.
Is there not?
No,
Not that I can find.
Wow.
I can't find. If there's an Easter egg, they've really hidden it. Because I thought it would have been something involving the portal, but it's not there, and that annoys me weirdly.
That's punishment for people pirating the Warcraft movie.
Oh,
I guess Blizzard was taking a stand by not giving us an
Oh, my
Easter egg.
goodness.
By the way, you got a lot of waifus on your screen back there, Willie. Just so you're aware.
oh no, I know. There's a lot of
Different ones keep like coming in and out.
Carl, how about you in Heroes? How's your Heroes experience been the past couple weeks since we've been on the show?
Well, I did make it up to Diamond 2, so eventually I'm
Ooh.
gonna try and see if I can hit Master. So that was good. Played Medivh 2 games today, so I'm an expert. I do think he's really fun. His kit's really cool. You really, really have to play him back, just so the portal's like any useful at all. If you want to get somebody out with a portal, you can't be standing next to them. So I guess you can actually, but I don't know. Playing him safe is much better.
I would like to point out that in the middle of game 2 is when you realized you couldn't take damage in bird form.
Hey, it's a learning experience.
That's why he's a master now.
Yes, once you learn that.
Well, I'm Diamond
it's
2
on-
is because it only takes me 2 games to read the passive. Charlie still doesn't know where his Kerrigan shields come from.
That's true.
Oh
I
gosh.
think damage, but I don't know.
Um,
I keep trying to shield myself.
Yeah.
So,
But anyways, let's get into this patch. I mean, there's a billion things to talk about, I feel like, but we've made sure to pare it down a little bit so the show doesn't go on for like 15 hours talking about this patch. But we're going to start with kind of the overreaching stuff that's been done to the game that pretty much affects the core game functionality. One of the first ones is to all of our favorite map, I think, Garden of Terror. Now the overgrowth gives a buff to 200% building damage to any buildings affected by it, hopefully making games on that map go faster. Any thoughts on that, or is that kind of just
It doesn't.
whatever?
I think it was a good change, and it makes sense. There's
was-
not a whole lot to it.
We played it earlier, and it was hard to tell because we got steamrolled. But I mean, our buildings definitely dropped pretty quickly. I wouldn't argue that. I just don't know if it's because we were playing so badly or what. But I mean, this is just me being throwing out my personal opinion. I never hated Garden of Terror. I don't mind long games occasionally. I'd rather still play that than Battlefield of Eternity. So, but that's just my own personal opinion. I'm not a big fan of Towers of Doom either. I think I'd rather
I
play
can understand that.
there over that too. But I don't know. It's a change, like Carl said. It kind of needed to happen. So it's what are you? It definitely helps. It helps.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to say about it. We'll just see how it works out in the end. Another thing I think this is one of the bigger changes here, but it's something that doesn't necessarily affect gameplay, but does affect people playing the game. There's been a bunch of performance improvements to the game. The detailed specific stuff they changed, so if you want to read the patch notes, go ahead and check those out. But also bringing support for DirectX 11 to Heroes of the Storm, which is a huge deal, which will help just bring better support for some of these newer pieces of hardware that are coming out. But yeah, moving on, minion changes have been made as well.
I actually don't understand the DirectX 11 thing because I'm not very. I play with a lot of old stuffs. Like, do you know what this would actually like target for people? Because it said.
I think it should help with people using multi-core processors, which is pretty much everyone at this point, using that a bit better, and just improvements across the board. I really honestly don't know the technical details about it, but I do know that supporting the newest version of DirectX has generally been a good thing for games going forward. And
it said it was saying it was going to show your performance now. Like, I hadn't seen anything like that where it said the processor performance notification.
What it used to do was there was always the you've seen the connection one up in the corner, right?
Right.
It would do that too if your processor was slowing down. So now you'll have a better idea of what exactly is causing lag in game, which I think is good.
So Windows.
Go ahead.
Windows 10 uses DirectX 12, so this will help older systems. So I think 11 is usually the most updated one if you're running 8 or anything like that. I don't know what processing system non-Windows uses, but
the patch notes specifically say it should help reduce memory usage, increase performance while the game is not the primary focus window, and allows for further optimization improvements in the future. Now, this is actually a really good thing because apparently at one point, I imagine they fixed this, but if you stayed on the home screen, it was unrestricted about how much memory it could use. So it could just eat up all your memory, even if it wasn't the focus.
So it sounds like that's going to help for streamers quite a bit.
Yes, it should be helping quite a bit there.
Okay. I wanted to touch on that a little, just because it's weird.
And I think possibly the biggest change in the patch is the minion change here. I'm happy they brought this down because originally on the PTR this was 100% damage, but it's going to be minions will do 50% more damage to buildings. 100% sounded really scary to me and too much of a dial in the wrong direction, but 50% seems okay to me. I know you guys have had a chance to play with the live patch. Did you guys see anything that kind of was obvious that this change had happened, or not really yet?
No, minions do a lot more damage.
Yeah,
minions do a lot more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Split pushing's a thing.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people escorting and pushing by themselves, and it was more effective than it usually is. If you see somebody alone in bot lane, you actually have to respond to it, which is good.
No, that's good.
I haven't, ever in the 3 games I played in the patch. I've yet to see a huge wave just crash unattended into a fort and take it. I'm hoping that can happen. So you just have to increase your map awareness to be really effective. Mm-hmm. But
I think what's also interesting as well, as I kind of bundled this change into this talking point, was that catapult minions, their attack and sight range have been increased, and also they fixate on a target now. So basically this means what would normally happen was if a minion started attacking that catapult, they would change their focus to that minion and start killing that minion. Now, once it acquires a target, whether it be a building or a unit, that's all it'll fire on until it dies. So it's going to make taking down the catapult minions a bit more important, I feel like, going forward. Because once they're on that core, that's all they're going to be focused on until they're killed. I mean, obviously, minion spawn, they'll be able to kill them, but it's going to make some interesting things, I think, happen in the game.
I think a slight, an underlooked is that range increase. Because as it was, they outranged the core, but they stood right next to your minion line, and the core does splash damage. Mm-hmm. So the core splashing onto your ranged caster minions would kill the catapults. So now that's not going to happen anymore because they're out of the splash range of the core. So the only thing that will kill your catapults is an enemy minion wave or enemy heroes.
One thing I noticed is when we played against a Gazlowe, there was just like one catapult left, and he put a turret in between the catapult's range and the nexus, and the catapult started focusing the turret. And then once the turret was down, he put down another turret. So it seems like there's some ways to kind of abuse the new AI where it will stay focused on a thing. But I mean, that might have been the case before as well. It was something I was noticed because I was trying to be more aware of the things that were happening with catapults and minions and stuff during game. But I don't know if that was always a thing or if that's
It probably was,
okay.
but it's a cool strategy.
Yeah. It really is. And I think this is all kind of just overarching the fact that specialists, I feel like, are going to be so much better in this patch. I think we were talking about before the show, Zul especially is going to be super good. And I personally think Sylvanas will still be really good as well. But yeah, Zul might come up in priority for picks and bans coming up here. But as well, speaking of...
Wait, Willie has that look in his eyes.
No, I think you're right. The Zul is going to get a lot more priority with the increased minion damage. He was already a strong pusher. This just makes him even stronger. Like, they didn't even have to buff him. Let's buff the minions.
I just remember this one game. I forget who all I was playing with, but it was some of you guys, and I was playing Zul, and it was Sky Temple, and they let me just push bottom lane like all game.
Oh God, I remember that.
So silly, and I'm just like imagining how that would have gone with these changes that are absolutely terrifying. I feel like, oh my goodness.
I'll touch on a thing. I'll touch on it later.
Okay.
When we talk some specific heroes.
Okay. Speaking of stuff that affects specific heroes, though, Bribe is getting changed now. Now it only costs 20 charges to defeat a Merc, but now the Merc camp captured with Bribe, if an entire Merc camp is captured with Bribe, it respawns 50% faster. And also, I didn't note this, but I do believe the charges got increased on.
Yeah, everyone
The
has
cap's up to
100
100.
now, except Vikings have
Vikings
200.
have 200, yeah.
So you can now bribe a night camp.
Yeah, that was the purpose of this. Is now you can fully bribe a night camp.
Bruiser.
I'm trying to be better about that bruiser camp. I think I did okay casting this weekend, but yeah, this will be really interesting. Something I'm really interested in trying out as it goes into the game here. Yeah.
So if Vikings are full stack, they can bribe 2 bruiser camps and a golem camp all in one go.
Vikings require double charges.
Yeah, I was about to say I think they require 40.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, good call. That's a lot of charges, though. I mean, just being able to hold that many is very, very cool. I think because Bribe's fallen out of favor for the most part.
Yeah, it
really
has. It's going to be interesting to see how this change affects that at all. Going forward into this new meta that's going to be a bit more, I feel like, aggressive. Continue on to global changes, though. The regen globe change did come through with this patch. Now it's 12% health over 5 seconds, 8% mana over 5 seconds. This is huge and makes globes quite a bit better later in the game, because before it was, it was only a little bit of mana before. Yeah, it was 32 mana over 4 seconds. Now it's 8% of maximum mana over 5 seconds. So it scales a lot better. And I'm really excited to see this change. And it will make fighting over these globes a bit more important, I feel like. And zoning out heroes in the laning phase will be something that I think will be a bit more important going forward. What do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
No, you haven't said much. Go.
No, I completely agree. The changes to the globes are absolutely massive. Globes are much more important now, especially in the late game, as well as the early game, because 8%. Everyone's got a varied mana or health pool, and those changes help a lot of the low sustain heroes out greatly. So with it's going to be much more important to zone out particular heroes. Zone out the Zagera. Try to zone out Zagera. Try to zone out the Nazebo. Those mana heavy heroes that can just push lanes super hard.
Mm-hmm. Carl, what were your thoughts?
Oh, this is just kind of people like to think of Heroes as a pretty casual game, and I do agree that the barrier to entry is much lower, which is a good thing. But stuff like this makes like trying to harass while they're going for a globe, that's like a little thing you can do in lane that will help you, right? So there's just a little nudge of complexity in there. It's probably not gonna give you a level advantage. It's probably not gonna but it could make them back once and miss some experience, and maybe you have a talent tier off that, or maybe you don't. I don't know. But just small things like this can cause you to do things like that. Mm-hmm. Before it's like, okay, I could force them to not get a globe, but who cares, right? They're always going to choose just harass back.
Oh yeah.
But now it's a choice.
Yeah.
So.
In our last kind of global change we're going to talk about before we really dig deep into some of these hero changes is healing well changes, getting increased to 120 seconds. Now 40% health over 20 seconds instead of 41%. Not a huge change there, but 30% mana over 20 seconds now as well instead of 20%. So this is a good change for mana users, especially heavy mana users. Like Jaina, I feel like will really benefit from this. And I'm okay with the increase to 120 seconds. It's a little bit easier for my brain to get behind that. It's just a solid 2 minutes until I can use that again, instead of what it was 100 seconds was minute 40 seconds or something like that. I don't see this being that big of a change, but it's something that's kind of nice to give it a bit more oomph for mana users.
See, I think this change actually affects the casual player a lot more than the globe, just because I've noticed that I definitely noticed not having access to my well as often and not being able to rely on it more. The globe changes are kind of like for that higher level of play. You guys talked about the zone control around globes, and plus, when you're playing at that level, you're better at managing your health and mana, knowing when to push forward and getting away with things, when to pull back. When derpy players just kind of die for the globe, especially if they got a globe quest. I'm guilty of it on quite a few occasions. The well
Willie would never risk himself for a globe.
Yeah, Willie never does. With the well, though, I mean, I got used to relying on it, and I also really like the extra mana increase on it, because it was a big deal for, like you said, mana of intensive people, because I was playing Uther, who generally always has problems in the early game, and I never really needed the health off that. I was looking for the mana most of the time, so I think it really helps supports, especially when you're at that level where you're kind of like spamming your heals a little bit more than you might need to, or I like I said, I think the wells affect casual play more, and the globes affect pro play more. And that is all I have to say about well and globe. So should start.
No, I agree. Yeah. Go ahead and start with our heroes spotlight. Kind of, we've each taken a hero, and really wanted to break this down.
We need to talk about Gul'dan first, though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Gul'dan before we talk about the changes.
Yeah, let's not talk about the hero that just dropped today. No point.
But yeah, Gul'dan was released. He is a assassin, ranged assassin, and his unique trait from what separates him from other heroes is his mana does not regenerate at all. So what he is given, though, is life tap. So that is his trait. And you hit the D button and sacrifice a portion of your health, restoring 25% of your maximum mana. So you might be thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to just like run out of health really quickly. If you've played Warlocks in World of Warcraft, they have Drain Life as well. So Gul'dan has been given Drain Life. Gives you the ability to heal yourself up and deal damage to the target. That's his W. Fell Flame releases a wave of flame that deals damage to each enemy it passes through. And then Corruption, as well, is another kind of well-known ability for Warlocks in the Warcraft universe. You call for 3 bursts of shadow energy in a line, which deal damage to each enemy they strike over 6 seconds, which stacks up to 3 times. This looks like a really great ability to use on heroes retreating or something like that. Force them to move to a different position, or they eat all this damage that's going to be put on them by Corruption. And then his 2 heroics, Horrify, which is basically an AoE fear that's targeted. So 2-second fear for anyone.
Ground targeted.
Yeah, ground targeted. Which is a lot better than I thought what it was going to be, which would be just on his just AoE around the hero. And then his second heroic, Rain of Destruction, summon a random meteors in a large area for 7 seconds, and each meteor deals damage in a small area.
Comment.
Questions? Comments?
Rain of Destruction is really bad.
I think it would be much better if it wasn't a channel, but it's
I think it
still
would be much
unreliable.
better if it was a smaller AoE. The AoE for Rain of Destruction is absolutely massive. And, okay, I'm going to do it again. Sorry. It's like Crystal Maiden's ultimate from Dota 2, where it hits... Yeah, I know. It hits random areas. Like, it's complete RNG. You could have the full channel over your head and not take any damage from it, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I think it might...
Horrify is great, though. Horrify is really good if you use it properly. I've been hit with a few Horrifies, and it's actually saved me because I ran away.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it anyone in the target runs away from the center of it directly the opposite direction that they were going, I believe?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you're on the back edge, you're going to run
away.
Away that way. If you're on the other side of it towards your team, like they're going to run towards you. So you're not running in a random direction. I almost feel like Horrify should make people run in a random direction, not just based where it goes off.
Well, now, Rain is the RNG, could have a great impact, could suck ultimate, and Horrify is consistent, right?
Yeah.
And that's what that direction provides.
Yeah.
Well,
like if they shrink the AoE for Rain of Destruction, that means there's less of an area for those meteors to hit, which means it will deal damage more consistently. I mean, yes, it does do a lot of damage if it hits you. That's the only problem I have with Rain of Destruction. It's just shrink the AoE a little bit, change nothing else. There's less of an area, because that's a huge control area to fight in during that ult, when you could be doing other stuff, and that's why you're taking Horrify over Rain of Destruction. But you could make it a lot more useful by reducing the amount of RNG that goes into it just by shrinking the AoE.
My only caveat for Rain of Destruction, because I do mostly agree with you, I'll say it's a better ult when you're either using it to defend under your towers or push under the enemy towers, because you can stand back at the start of this big massive fight, rain down random AoE that's hitting buildings, characters. It creates chaos, which is always good when you're fighting under towers, because you might need that extra shove back. You might need people to panic away from their buildings while you burn something down, or you just might want to have extra damage raining down from far away while you defend your fort or tower or whatever. But yeah, I do feel Horrify's the better ult right now. My question was for Carl, because I know he got a chance to play him. The whole Gul'dan does not regenerate mana. Does that also apply to the globes and the wells? Because those say restore over time.
He gets mana from those.
He does get mana from those. Okay, that's what I was curious about.
I really like the health mana dance kind of thing. It's, sacrificing your health to get mana and then using your drain life to get your health back and stuff. It's engaging gameplay, right? It's not just... I mean, I do like most other mages, but the other mages is like, all right, in order to get your mana, you either don't cast a whole bunch of spells or you back. With
Yeah.
Gul'dan, it's like you have active things you can do to manage it, and they can put you at risk. So it's really cool setup.
Honestly, I feel like Gul'dan's even with the life tap. I honestly feel like he's kind of a low risk hero. Like Fell Flame has a huge range, like Drain Life has a huge range. Like Corruption again has a huge range. Like you're not putting yourself into too much risk by, life tapping and then just like draining a creep or something. Like there's a talent at 4 for, am I right? Yeah, Health Funnel. If you kill something with drain life, its cooldown is reduced. So you just drain a creep and you have that 6-second reduction on drain life, so it reduces it down to 4. So like you can keep chucking Fell Flames because that's a ridiculous cooldown for an ability, and it does a ridiculous amount of damage.
Yeah, no, I mean he's definitely not like the life tap or whatever is cool, but he's not always on the brink of death or anything, and he's not super close to the fight. He's definitely a safe mage. KT kind of has a stun to protect himself. Gul'dan has life drain. Chromie just dies.
Yeah. Who? That's what Chromie should do.
Do you think? I feel like he's in a really good spot out the gate. I didn't get a chance to play him, but I played against him in almost every game we played. And he doesn't feel too strong, and he doesn't feel weak either. I know you were playing with him, Carl. Did you see anything you liked or anything you thought was too good, or anything you were worried about?
Feel wise, I wish Corruption was a shorter cooldown. Balance wise, it doesn't need to be. But as a Warlock, Corruption's a no cooldown ability, so I'm used to just like dotting everybody, right?
Right.
You can't.
Well, this is an arena.
Yeah. So, but like balance, he feels fine. He doesn't feel like he's doing a whole bunch of damage or anything. But it's the first day of release, and I'm playing against another Gul'dan. So we'll see what the numbers look like. He could be. He's not like Li Ming, where everyone just like played her and knew she was broken.
Right.
But like Zul came out and he had like a 56-58% win rate or something, but nobody like felt like they were getting just like smashed by him.
Yeah.
And I think Gul'dan, if anything, he's in that spot. He doesn't feel like uncounterable.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of curious because just feel wise playing against him, I felt like I was able to kill him, but I didn't feel like I could do it with impunity either, which is kind of what you want on a day one release hero. You want someone who can.
Yeah, he definitely feels like he's in a really, really nice spot.
Well, maybe Blizzard hit the mark on this one.
I think
they've done
did.
it. They've done it a few times with some of the heroes. It's just I'm so used to heroes either coming out so underpowered or, in Medivh's case, so hard to use, or overpowered in Li Ming's case. It's nice to see someone come out and just go, nice, well done, Blizzard.
Really hoping there'll be like, 4 playable mages in draft, so you can just like actually just pick the one that fits your play style instead of just KT's open, I have to pick him.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, like when I was doing that smurfing, out of all the mages, I had been, because I'd played a lot of mages. Like I played a lot of Jaina in the past. Like didn't really touch KT until I started smurfing. But like out of all the mages, like Li Ming honestly fits my playstyle the best. Like because she's the most Chen-like out of the mages. Like jump around, be a jerk, and just be a huge pain to everybody, even your own team. So
I've always liked Jaina, but I felt she was underpowered compared to Li Ming, and I was in the same boat as you recently. I was no good with Kalthus. I've seen Carl play Kalthus. It's demoralizing to try and learn Kalthus when you see that level of Kalthus play. When you see it constantly, it's like, why learn it? I could put in a ton of effort to be like the, 1500th best Kalthus in the world. I don't want to do that. But Li Ming, it felt natural, and it was fun. So
according to Hot Slugs, I have the 88th best Chen in the world. 'Cause they have heroes.
Or no, on your regular account. That's impressive.
Yeah. It doesn't it only ranks your most played hero though.
Okay.
Which obviously is
check
Chen
that.
by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been ranting about Gul'dan and random stuff for a little bit. We should probably change the focus and hand it back to Jimmy. We'll start with his hero, especially since it segues nice from this mage topic we got. Jimmy, who do you want to focus on in these changes?
I really want to focus on Kerrigan, who's kind of always been...
Okay, never mind. I read that wrong. I thought I was throwing it to Carl's change. Never mind. Just ignore the mage part that I said.
Yeah.
Every attempt to derail this show, I will.
There you go. I know.
ahead.
But Kerrigan got some significant changes in this patch, and I'm hoping these are some changes to push her in a more positive direction and make her a bit more viable going forward. Her base stats did get all bumped, basically. Base health increased from 1680 to 1848, so she'll scale a lot better health-wise. Health regen is bumped up a little bit, 3.5 to 3.8. Probably won't be too noticeable, but definitely some quality of life changes there. Base attack damage, though, increased from 109 to 120. Kerrigan's going to get really scary here.
And let's just stop there for a second. Definitely, because I played her earlier. The health increase is amazing. The health regen, you might not think, just because it's such a small number, but with the changes to the globes and the wells, you kind of feel it, especially in the globe department. And yeah, base attack damage, I took the cleave skill on level 4 on the shrines, and I was just melting those minions on shrine, like nobody's business. So, just minor experiences, I think those really put her in the right direction. I want to play her more now than I have since the alpha.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think I'll be trying to play her some tonight. But anyways, one ability got changed. Ravage, the mana cost got reduced from 50 to 40. Always good to have that additional mana. You're going to be using Ravage a lot, so that is going to be good. Now, digging into the talents where most of her changes have been made. Siphoning Impact now only applies if the target is killed by Ravage. A little bit of a nerf to that talent, but not the end of the world. Siphoning Impact, if you weren't familiar, is her level 1 talent where looks like they haven't updated the tooltip. Because it has the same text that it was before. But yeah, you have to kill the target with her Q for that heal to go off.
It's 10% of her health, right?
Yeah, yes. 10% of her maximum health, so it does scale well. Sharpened Blades, damage got increased from 20 to 30% now. So that's a talent I tend to like taking just because it's a good amount of damage. Level 4 got some changes as well. Clean Kill, the mana refund reduced from 100 to 75%. And damage bonus, though, is increased from 20 to 25%. So this kind of pairs up nicely with your Siphoning Impact if you have that. Is basically if the Ravage kills the target, restores a bunch of your mana and increases the damage of your next Ravage by 25%. So kind of can chain a lot of kills there.
Yeah, I like this change.
Yeah.
Because the idea of Clean Kill is to incentivize you to execute a minion on their backline and use it to jump to them at a farther Ravage range than you normally have.
Mm-hmm.
But what it's used for is to have infinite sustain on a minion wave because you can siphon an impact to get 70% of your health back and cost no mana. Mm-hmm. So they reduce the mana and increase the damage bonus. Like, please use this for engage.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't want to make her a lane champion or hero.
Yeah, most definitely. Fury of the Swarm. It's passive. It gets increased here. Basic attack cleave got increased to 60% from 50%. So that can be good against a team that kind of is clumping up, has a lot of melee heroes, etc.
I took that earlier, and like I said, on Infernal Shrines, it was very nice. I think just for wave clear, that it was noticeable, especially with her base attack damage increase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Carl and Lily can attest to it. We didn't have anybody to really melt those shrines. That's why I took it, and I was destroying those minions fairly quickly.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, and Psionic Pulse got changed. Now the Primal Grasp it got damaged, increased from 17 to 24, so that just does more damage in her toolkit, which can't be a terrible idea for Impaling Swarm got removed. I don't remember what that was.
That was the one where if your W hit, it created a little Zergling thing.
Oh, yeah. That doesn't
dumb.
surprise me. It wasn't that valuable. Adaptation mana refund increased from 50 to 100%. So if you use it on allies, it makes it so that you can use Ravage to jump on allies. So now this talent looks really good. You could basically use it for free to escape. I mean, that's not a bad way to build your talents here.
I'd agree if it wasn't for the change to the next one.
Yeah. We have Assimilation Mastery now increases the duration of Assimilation Shields by 100%. And that's on top of its current functionality. So when
Bigger shields lasting long.
When Assimilation is active, your health and mana regen is increased by 100%. So yeah, you're pretty much always going to take Assimilation Mastery, I think, at this point.
I think if you're in a comp that's gonna go in and stay in, right? You're in like a several dive, you got a Uther backing you up, whatever, the similar mastery is really good. But if you're like the only melee and they have a bunch of range and you're gonna need to get escapes out because you can't stay in the fight very long, adaptation's still gonna be a good pick.
It's not bad, but the problem is it's only cheaper mana. Like it all depends on whether or not it's off cooldown. And if you jumped in to get somebody and you got trapped, it's not going to save you because it's still on cooldown. I guess it does, but the problem is the cooldown.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I was taking it before, and I still think it's decent.
Yeah, I see its uses. It's just the fact that it refunds a little more mana doesn't really wow me.
But also on the level 7 talents, you might have noticed, since I was showing the talents, you're like, wait, Impaling Swarm was removed. How come there's still 4 talents there? Well, Blade Torrent got moved from level 16 to level 7, and will probably be never picked. Because of the other talents that we aforementioned here. Just increase the Impaling Blades area. You're not going to pick that, I don't think, over Adaptation or Assimilation Mastery. Or even Blade Momentum if you really wanted to go crazy. The last talent changes were on level 13. Queen's Rush got changed. And now the movement speed has been increased and cooldown reduced from 75 to 50 seconds. This is one for activated abilities, so could see some of the use there. Although Double Strike and Eviscerate are also on this talent tier as well, and Eviscerate increases that Ravage range. I mean, what would you guys pick up here? I'm leaning towards Eviscerate.
What was the name of the other one?
Double Strike.
See, I like Double Strike a lot, but I mean that was in conjunction with the Fury of the Swarm passive. It's a tough talent to pick because that's one of those things. If you need Queen's Rush, now that the cooldown is a full 25 seconds smaller, a full 25 seconds shorter, and you get an extra 5%, 30% is a lot of run speed for someone like Kerrigan. Especially if you're doing the thing like Carl likes with adaptation, and you're like, I'm way too deep. Let me bolt out of here, then jump to a minion. Like you're just completely safe in those situations. It's also great for chasing people down. So it's a tough level.
And I forgot about this, but Queen's Rush is applied for free on takedowns.
Oh, that's like why it's unique, because it's sprint. It's a weaker sprint that you get every time you get a kill. So it's like the super snowball takeover a fight talent. So I think 13 is actually a competitive tier. Like I can see arguments for all 3 of them.
It really
is great.
I love that. That's what we love about Heroes of the Storm is we have these talents to choose, and when we get a talent tier like this where each one is viable for a certain situation, makes it so much more fun and increases that skill cap level, because you have to have that game awareness here to be able to choose the correct talent for that situation. But yeah, that is basically all of the Kerrigan changes, and I'm so excited to be playing as her again in the game, and I can't wait to jump in and play. But who wants to go next? We have 3 other heroes that we're going to deep dive through. Just a reminder, we're not going to go through all the hero changes. If you want to check those out, hit up heroesofthestorm.blizzpro.com. The entire patch notes are there to check out. Make sure to check them out.
One last thing about Kerrigan, too, real quick. I'll just say she feels like you can pick her in quick match now, which I think is the most important thing.
That's a good thing.
I will go as I picked a hero who has undergone significant changes. We're going to talk about Zagara. So, her attack damage got decreased. That was necessary. 95 to 86. You'll understand why I say this is necessary. Okay. Her trait, the Creep Tumor, new functionality. Grants her 20% extra bonus attack range while on creep. Its health is increased from 111 to 150. No longer costs mana. Increased cast range from 0 to 2.5. No longer grants additional health regen while on creep. Charge cooldown was increased from 15 to 20 seconds, and there's more creep now. It was increased by 33%. So, I'm absolutely okay with these changes to her tumors.
Most of the stuff that you would buff into it is now baseline. Like, Endless Creep is gone because of that increase, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm even okay with the health regen being gone while she's on creep. So, let's go to Baneling Barrage, which was the weirdest change reading it on paper, but in action, it makes perfect sense to me. So, now it only fires 1 Baneling. You have 4 charges of it at a cost of 10 mana per Baneling. There is a 3-second cooldown on each charge. Damage per Baneling has been increased from 75 to 91. Banelings no longer have health. You can't target them. So you have to body block them. You can't accidentally catch a group of Banelings with a leading.
They've always had some weird pathing issues.
Yes, they still have weird pathing issues, but you're not burning an entire ability because of them. You're only burning 1 Baneling, which is I'm okay with that.
Do you think that creates interesting kind of skill shot mechanics for her now, where she can switch off Banelings, change diagonals and hit 2 different heroes, whereas before she was committed to that 1 lane, which was nice for division and zone control, but now it feels like a more direct skill shot. Do you like that change, or do you think...
I love that change because you can lead your target now.
Yeah.
There was that 1 kill with that retreat. Someone was retreating from top lane, and I just placed the Banelings in the only path he had available. And the last one got him, and that was all we needed for the kill. But it forced him in. It forced any one of them would have hit. He would have died. But it forced him into that path we wanted. So where I could hit the Baneling.
So high level Zagara's Baneling choke point game.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's legit. You can actually do that now. So
the one thing, this is a slight nerf. Not that really any people actually used it, but your Banelings can't block skill shots anymore, right? Because they don't have health and can't be targeted.
Correct.
Yeah, that was hard to do, but that is a slight nerf.
It happened more accidentally than intentionally most of the time.
Right.
I don't know how many times I fired off an arcane orb at the same moment Zagara was channeling a Baneling, and it would just eat the orb.
Wait, so all this time I could have turned around on Nova and just fired Banelings at triple tap?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, it doesn't.
No, triple tap's not stopped by anything. It ends on heroes.
It's only heroes, yeah.
If
Heroes
you
and
stop
build.
on a creep, then Baneling would stop it.
I had a moment where I just wanted to punch myself in the face. I'm glad that's not true. Okay, go on.
Okay, so Hunter Killer damage decreased from 89 to 68. Okay, that's fine. I can respect that. That was definitely needed. Zagara gets way too much work done with Hunter Killer. And this makes laning against her not so unbearable if you're not Chen. So, Devouring Maw no longer deals damage on impact. Damage per second increased from 43 to 80, a huge buff to that. And then the cooldown, another big buff, reduced from 120 seconds down to 100 seconds. So it's the old healing wheel timer. Have fun with that, Jimmy. Um, these are and it no longer damages. It deals damage on impact. You never used Maw for the damage anyways.
No, but it's nice to have that damage now ticking on everyone inside it.
Exactly. But again, you never used Maw for the damage. You used it because it was a great control tool.
That's 320 damage though.
Yeah.
What was the impact damage before?
I don't remember.
Is this a buff or a nerf?
I think it
it's a
comes.
buff.
Keep talking. I'll check.
I think it evens out in the end. I think with the removal of the impact damage and the buff of the tick damage, it evens itself out. And okay, so the one that caught my I'll keep talking until Charlie has the answer. But Nidus Network. This is the most interesting one for me. New functionality. It passively increases your creep spread by 25%. So on top of that 33%, that's already
baseline,
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's baseline. You get an additional 25%. It passively gives you, just taking Nidus gives you battle momentum while you're on creep. And if you're Zagara, you should always be on creep. It's not that hard. You can do it. I believe in you. Nidus canals can only be placed on creep, though. Entering Nidus canals is now canceled if you take damage. Channel time is down to 1.5 seconds from 2. The health regeneration is increased from 8 to 10% of your maximum health. Same with mana regen. So you're in there 10 seconds, you pop out, you're full health. Max amount of Nidus canals on the map increased from 4 to 10. Now, I haven't gotten to abuse that yet, but I really want to because that sounds fun.
Sounds pretty darn good.
Yeah, that, like, I have been messing around, like, and Blizzard, Maw is bugged. Please fix it. You guys know?
I believe they're aware of that. I saw a Reddit thread.
Yeah, they're yeah, and it's like Maw is grabbing people way outside its range. Like, people who have no business getting caught in the Maw are getting caught in the Maw, and that's pretty funny to me, honestly.
It's also depositing them, not in the center, so like trying to line up a Tehran to stun after a Maw doesn't work.
Right. But like, I really love the Nidus Network changes. Like, the amount of with the right setup, the amount of banelings and hunter killers and stuff like that you can throw out is absolutely ridiculous. Because Zagara already has a pretty quick attack speed. She's not the slowest attacker. So when you combine that with a built-in battle momentum, some cooldown reduction on some of her abilities, like, you are chucking banelings and hunter killers everywhere, and it gets really messy in a hurry. But yeah, let's see. For talents, centrifugal hooks has been removed. Obvious removal. That it's no longer needed. The corpse feeders, the damage reduction from non-heroes increased from 30 to 40%. It now reduces the cooldown of infested drop by 3 seconds. In addition, Reconstitution and Demolitionist have both been... I don't think anybody has Demolitionist anymore.
Yeah, I think they've really kind of moved away from that.
I liked it on some maps, but like on some people, but not...
The early on playing Zagara, I tried to play with it, but I didn't see it really doing a whole lot, or getting a whole lot done, so...
Yeah.
I have those Maw numbers whenever you want them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maw used to do, with the full ticks of damage after 4 seconds and the impact damage, a total of 639 damage at level 10. Now, without the impact damage, it does 416 damage. So it's a significant damage reduction. It's 1/3 damage less on Maw, but as you've stated, it's not a damage ability.
Right.
But doesn't it scale a little bit better?
No, it's still 3%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I included the scaling in those numbers, so That's just.
So I'm thinking at like level 20.
It's still
It'd be a little
3%
different.
scale either way. The
Okay.
impact damage scaled as well. So
Oh, yeah,
that would
you're right.
offset
Okay, yeah, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I could run those numbers just to be sure, though.
Just for funsies, but
Okay,
yeah.
on
So-
it.
Well,
Go
back to the talents.
Okay, level 4, Envenom Spines, active. No longer adds basic attack range. You activate it to have your next basic attack deal 230 damage over 5 seconds. So they
It's
essentially gave her
ranged
Envenom.
Envenom.
Yeah. But it's a quicker Envenom.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a 60-second cooldown. It's a 30-second cooldown, which is nice. But let's see. Envenom's been removed. Tumor Clutch has been removed because it's baseline. Medusa Blades increased from 25% to 33%. Infest. This is the one I love. It's moved to level 1. Its new function, nearby ranged minions deal 200% more damage. For every 1,000 siege damage dealt, you increase the damage bonus by 1%. You get so much value out of Infest. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That
Like,
sounds fun.
I was able to push down a Sky Temple bot fort, and I know we're running late. A Sky Temple bot fort.
It's fine. This is going to be a longer show.
Before
Strap yourself
the
in, everyone.
before the first temple finished. Before the first temple's finished. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. With just the basic bonus I got, like, from just chucking banelings and stuff like that, like, it
Plus menu
boggled my
changes,
mind.
But yes, it's a lot of
Yeah.
damage.
And then she's got a new talent, Serrated Spines. Every basic attack against enemy heroes increases your basic attack damage by 0.3. So, like, that one I end up taking a lot just because I like the extra. It makes up for the nerf. So, level 7, Swarm Momentum's gone. Volatile Acid was moved to 1. It also increases the range of Banelings by 50% now. Ventral Sack's gone. Endless Creep gone. Rapid Incubation gone. New talent, Viscous Acid. Banelings now slow. And that's really good. I like that one at 7. Changes at 13. Mutalisk was moved to 16. Mutalisks no longer have a timed life. They stick around until they're dead. That's not fair.
They need to update the tooltip on this, too.
Yeah. Groove Spines is gone. Bile Drop was moved to 7. Bonus damage decreased from 100 to 50%. Quest. It's now a quest. Every hero hit by Infested Drop increases this bonus by 10%. Once you hit 150 bonus damage, the impact radius is shot up by 20. Giant Killer's gone. Hydralisk Transfusion, which is I haven't messed around with, but I really want to. Zag is healed for 75% of the primary damage dealt by Hunter Killers. I like that idea. I think it can end up being really strong in keeping her alive, especially if you're going Nidus Network and you're getting those cooldown reductions. Protective Coating, while on creep, Zag takes 20% reduced damage from all sources. That's why I don't think the health regen is that big of a deal, because if you go this route, you're taking a lot less damage. 20% from all sources is pretty insane. Level 16, Baneling Massacre, moved to 7. New functionality, gives you 2 more charges. Brute Expansion, new functionality as well. Reduces the cooldown of Hunter Killer by 6 seconds. This is why I also like it with Nidus Network, because you're just throwing Hydralisks or Mutalisks just everywhere at people. Or just Hydras. Just Hydras. Metabolic Boost gone. Stone Skin gone. New talent, Corrosive Saliva. Hunter Killers deal an additional 2% of the target's max health as damage. So your Hunter Killers get Giant Killer, essentially. Level 20, Broodling Nest is gone. Bolt is gone. And Endless Creep, new talent, increases creep tumor cast range by 2,000%.
What?
Your your cast range is increased by 2,000%. Creep tumor duration is increased from 240 to 600 seconds. And then while on creep, Zach gets an additional 20%. Like that's why I really want to mess around with Nidus Network right now, because that seems really idiotic. Like the extended cast range for your creep tumors means you can just spam tumors everywhere and just drop Nidus Networks everywhere, and there's very little your opponent can do about it unless they're right there.
Yeah.
Well, plus the implications of late game vision. I mean, that's just sick. You can actively check their camps from far away as Zagara with the tumor.
And it's like all these talents are just like, I think Infest is going to be the go-to one talent.
Yeah, that sounds like it should be good.
Overall, I mean, Zagara was already good. I feel like she's gotten better.
I think she's gotten way better.
I don't think Zagara was one of those heroes that needed it. Like, she didn't need to be better. Why didn't you make Chen better?
I mean,
she had to cancel his drink by pressing chug anymore.
She had a lot of things, like a lot of dead weight in her talents. Like a lot of things you just wouldn't pick that didn't fit her at all. That's why so much stuff got removed. And then moving so much stuff into the baseline of the creep, a lot more options and fun when you're picking her talents. So
right, but in the process, you've just made her more broken.
Yeah, but the goal wasn't buff Zagara, and I'm sure they'll tune on her. The goal was make her talent tree good and make her not just like... I mean, now she has really good push damage, but I don't think she's as like damage oppressive in lane against somebody.
And taking Bolt away from her does hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does hurt. I will grant you that. Bolt needed to go bye-bye on Zagara, but like even still, it's pretty idiotic.
Yeah, no, it's surprising that she got so much better.
Let's move on. Carl, you had Jaina. Let's move on to Jaina. We'll save the best for last, Charlie.
Oh.
All right. So the biggest changes are right at the start of Jaina's, right? Mm-hmm. Increase the number of waves of Blizzard from 2 to 3. Blizzard strikes 3 times now, guys. Just get it into your head, because you're probably going to walk to the 3rd Blizzard strike 15 times before you really remember it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting change, because without extensive CD, or not CD, CC, that's not a damage buff. Actually, it's a damage nerf, because they reduce the
damage
individual wave damage. Yeah. Right? I mean, if you hit 3 waves, that's a significant buff. But but the thing is, it's a zoning tool. You're going to cut off this one area that their team just doesn't want to walk through. Right? You set it on the entrance to a shrine or a temple, and you just have like 4 seconds where nobody's going to come through there.
It's also a big damage buff for camp clear.
It is for camp clear. Yeah. And you can just drop your W on a wave of minions, and you don't have to use E or Q or anything else. It's just going to clear them. Mm-hmm. So as far as like her siege damage potential, it's a buff. Yeah. Right? And then they buffed her Cone of Cold so that it's basically about the same amount of damage with Cone of Cold and 2 Ws. Right? So overall it's just a buff to Jaina, which she needed. But their comments were like, we want her to make her a zone control mage, right? People don't want to walk towards Jaina. She has the slows, the area denial, that kind of stuff, which I like. I like them trying to make the mages different, right? Kilthos is the single one target out. They kind of want to make him an AoE, which is the living bomb changes. But before this patch, or the patch before, he was the single one target out and blow them up completely in a combo. But now he's kind of the AoE fire bombs and stuff, and Jaina's more like control. Li Ming is, I guess, the teamfight snowbally with her resets, and Gul'dan's sustain. But anyways, they're trying to push them into more unique roles. Just this person does a lot of damage with their abilities. So I think that's good design-wise.
So I wanted to interject really quickly and ask you, I was reading a thread on Reddit about someone who played extensively with Jaina on PTR. They said more her strength now, it's just rotating through lanes. A lot of the times just back and forth because of the change to the Blizzard. What are your thoughts on that?
So if you're doing like she's not any better for like if you hear rotate and you think gank, that's not what they're talking about, right? When you see the pros, when they have like one person bot and they have 4 people just like running back and forth between the 2 waves, soaking it all, getting all the experience, and then like forcing the enemy to play back, right? Because if you have 4 people, you're going to win the fight no matter what, unless they have 5. So she's really good in that, and she doesn't even need like the 4th person. She can just run and clear 2 lanes at once, right? And she can free the rest of your team up to do something. Maybe they all can go with her, and they stay mounted, and they provide this like escort for Jaina that nobody wants to mess with, and they don't have to dismount or anything and inconvenience themselves because she clears it. Or you can have a 4-man push bottom, and your Jaina player, who plays really safe, can just actually probably soak 2 lanes, like a Vikings player could.
My question with Frost Armor being moved to level 4 and Snowstorm going to 16 and Venom just outright being removed, is Frost Armor the pick now?
Oh, they didn't do a little talent thing at the bottom. Hang on, let me look at it for a second.
Oh, yeah, I can pull that up. Sorry.
I'm in game, I will. Just have to find her icon.
Yeah, I think that might be the case, but I'm not as good with Jaina as you are, so I was kind of curious what you think with, because I mean, it always felt like it was either in Venom or Snowstorm lately.
It will be unless you're going the piercing Q build, which most people don't go anymore.
Yeah.
But if you are doing that build, Frost Shards is still going to be the go-to. But I think Frost Armor is going to be better than Arcane Intellect, because they nerfed Arcane Intellect, didn't they?
Yeah, by 5 mana.
Yeah.
Digitality, friend of ours, he always maintained that Arcane Intellect was the pick if you were going to be pushing, which might be more prevalent now that Snowstorm or Blizzard is just outright 3 waves.
Mm-hmm.
Might be able to get away with some nasty push stuff because they're chilled targets, the buildings, so you can just sit there and indefinitely refill your mana while pushing if you're left alone in lane.
Yeah.
Especially the minion buff.
So none of the level 1 talents are incredibly impressive, which means you can get away with taking Conjurer's Pursuit on a damage character and then not need Arcane Intellect. And then take Frost Armor at 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably Frostbitten at 7. Still, because 65% bonus damage on her already high damage abilities is a lot.
And obviously, one of the best things about Frost Armor was always the fact that it chilled the target attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
It, in a sense, gave you escape tools, but it was already like a tough level to pick it at with level 7 being, the same level Frostbitten was at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Frost Armor, people say, like, oh, it's really good if they've got, like, an Illidan or somebody diving on you. Well, when's the last time you had a game that didn't have an Illidan, or a Zool, or a Zeratul, or a Greymane? Like, it just...
Or lately, Butcher. I feel like I see
Yeah.
a lot more.
Butcher, Sonya, like, there's going to be people diving you, right? We now just have so many dive heroes that people love to play. Thrall,
Yeah.
So it's pretty much always going to get you value. So...
Yeah. Just, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, no, I think it will be the choice on 4, and 1 is you can really pick anything if you're concerned about mana, conjures, but I think generally, I think the overall result of this is above. I think she gets more zone control, she gets the same or more damage, and I think her damage is good. I think people don't play her because she's not Kael'thas or Li Ming, but I think she's definitely as good or better than, Vala and Lunara and picks like that people still pick all the time. So, I don't know, I think, like I said this earlier, I think 4 of the mages, 5 if you count Falstad, are in pretty good spots right now, and you should be comfortable picking... If you're an assassin player, you should be comfortable picking any of them and not feel like, oh man, they outdrafted us because they got X.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. I just seeing the changes. Obviously, I don't play mages as much as you, but I always enjoyed Jaina. She was probably the one I leaned towards the most, and I kind of ended up going to Li Ming out of necessity because I felt Jaina was just too hard to use. Like she was, the potential was definitely there, but you had to be an excellent mage player to get the most out of her, which I am not. So I'm interested to go back to her a little bit and see if I can make her work for my thing. I mean, obviously, like you said, I think she's in a good place, a better place now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to try her out once again. It's been a while since I really played Jaina, since getting the master skin. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun to play her again.
That's about all I had for Jaina. So Charlie, you want to go into Uther?
Yeah, Uther basically he got a quality of life like kind of thing with his changes because all the ever popular piano build with Uther, where you took all the 1 through 4 and you hit a lot of buttons and did a lot of good healing and had a lot of utility. That's still fully functional and it's untouched. You can play that build, play Uther the same way, and just take advantage of the fact that his Divine Shield and Divine Storm now cost 20 less mana. So that's great because everything else was just kind of helpful. They outright took out block and passive on level 1, which you don't miss it. It's not a big deal. You almost never took either of those talents. I occasionally took block if we were on a map where globe farming was just atrocious, and you were going up against a bunch of melee heroes. It was so rare it didn't matter. What they did do is they moved Wave of Light and they moved Hammer of the Lightbringer to level 1, and it offers a little more depth at that level when you run into those situations where you don't want to globe farm. The problem is you almost always want to globe farm. It's very rare that you're not going to be doing that. So, but I mean, in that situation, I would probably consider taking. I don't know. I guess I would take Wave of Light just because it's a little bit of mana and. I don't know. I mean, Hammer of the Lightbringer is useless. Just 8 mana every basic attack. It doesn't help. You're better off always taking Conjurer's Pursuit at 1, so you certainly weren't ever taking it at 4. Anyways, they removed Amplified Healing because Amplified Healing only increased the healing that he did to himself, so it was pointless. They added a new talent called Beacon of Light, though, where he heals himself for 30% of all healing done to allied heroes, which is actually interesting. You might not need it as much compared to Protective Shield. I feel like Protective Shield is still the go-to pick, but there's interesting potential for that when you know you're going to be going up against a lot of AoE. If they somehow get, if they end up with Kalthas Jaina and you're kind of worried about the spread damage potential, knowing that they might focus you while taking down a backline target, things like that, that might be a better choice there because you're going to get more mileage out of that in regards to healing yourself versus the Protective Shield being like kind of this engage tool or oh crap button, reactive to incoming damage button. That helps you stay up and helps everyone else stay up as well. So, especially if you hit a boss W and get like 5 people in it, because W will heal himself when used. So you're adding a 30% increase to that heal if you hit 5 targets. So it can actually be a big heal on your W. He got some changes to Holy Fire on level 7, which he deals 18 damage per second to nearby enemies. Auto-attacking an enemy hero increases this damage by 20% for 3 seconds, and that effect can stack up to 3 times. And Clairvoyance was outright removed.
DPS super high.
It's you don't always need cleanse. I think I still like Burden of Guilt there. If you don't need cleanse, I'd rather have a slow after I stun them. But there might be situations where you're in the thick of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing about Burden of Guilt, I feel like later on, if you have assassins with you that have Executioner, doesn't that slow trigger that as well?
Yeah,
it will.
it's a longer term trigger for.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest benefit, because a 30% slow, I mean, it's something, but it's not the most noticeable.
Yeah, but when it comes after a 2-second stun, you know,
Yeah.
It adds up.
or well, 0.75 seconds stun. It feels like 2 seconds when you get stunned by Uther, but it's actually not.
It seriously feels like forever.
But it does mean something. That's a lot of damage for Holy Fire. I will say that if you're somehow able to maintain those stacks, with the 20% increase for 3 seconds, 20% of 18. Carl, you're the math wizard. That's what is
It's
that?
like 4.
4. So I mean, you can stack that 3 times, so another 12. That's 30 damage a second to everything around you. It's not terrible for a support. Odds are you're not going to get a lot of use out of it, though, is the problem. The damage is good, but yeah, as I said, taking Burden of Guilt's probably the better play still there if you don't need Cleanse. Level 13 is the most interesting. I didn't actually get a chance to try it out because, of course, we went against an Illidan, and I still had to take Shrink Ray. Holy Shock's Q. The cooldown reduction when using Holy Light against enemies increases it from 4 to 6. So that basically means, for those who are not aware, Holy Shock basically allowed you to use your heal to damage enemies for basically 50% of the damage of or 50% of the heal of your Holy Light. And it would reduce the cooldown on your Holy Light to 8 seconds rather than 12. Well, this brings it down to 6 seconds rather than 12. And, okay, whatever, that doesn't matter. But the new functionality is that after hitting an enemy, the next Holy Light heals for an additional 50%.
That's insane.
If you roll that into... Yeah, I think it could... There's some great opportunities for real big burst healing here if you roll that into his level 16 of Benediction, where you hit an enemy with Holy Light to start a fight, you pop Benediction, hit your Holy Light, which is at an additional 50% for heal, and it's going to be free, and the cooldown is basically makes it 0 because of Benediction. So you heal somebody for 50% more, get your heal back off of cooldown immediately, and you can heal someone else again with Q. So it allows damage, heal, and the first heal is now 50% bigger, and you have a little bit of damage to throw around as well. I like it.
Now, it doesn't say enemy hero, right? So you could use this on a creep in a lane, and then right before a fight or something. Carl, you're muted.
Yeah, that's true.
Saw you chit-chatting there, and nothing came out.
Oh, I missed that. Carl?
Oh, I was saying, said yes. You can tag a minion on your way to a fight.
Yes. Yep, that's true. You get that 6-second cooldown still, but yeah, it allows you to possibly get a little minion damage in, get a little merc damage in there. It gives you more functionality on your Q, which is nice. It's nice to have that because you don't always need Shrink Ray. If the enemy team is very mobile in a way where they don't ever have to get in on you, they got Vala, they got Kelthus, they got Jaina, they got Li Ming, characters that you have a hard time chasing down and even hitting with your E in the first place. It's going to be even harder to Shrink Ray them. It's nice. Obviously, you need Shrink Ray against dive heroes or aggressive warriors. It's helpful, but yeah. In situations where you don't need Shrink Ray, I think Holy Shock's going to be the play here. They also made a quick change to Blessed Champion. After casting Holy Light, all basic attacks for 5 seconds will heal Uther and all nearby allies for 20% of the amount healed by Holy Light. This makes it better, but I think Holy Shock's changes make that the pick if you're not taking Shrink Ray. And the level 16 changes, they got rid of Imposing Presence. It was stupid. Gathering Radiance passes through and increases the healing and damage of your next Holy Radiance by 8% to a maximum increase of 80. Still not good enough to overtake Benediction. Now, Righteous Defense, that's something that you might see picked up at the pro level a bit. I really think that some people are going to find uses for that, where heroes healed by Holy Light take 50% less damage for 2 seconds. This is going to be the kind of thing that's going to save people. Heals that are fringe, like I might be able to save you, are going to turn into you're definitely fine, get out of there. It's also great for sustaining through burst damage. If you heal a target that's at 50 to 75% health, and they're about to be the target of some heavy skill shots or even ultimates, having a 50% less damage for 2 seconds can really be a big deal. It's going to take a lot of focus and using your Q at the right time. So if you're like me and you just kind of like throwing your Q out there because you're a derpy healer and you need benediction, this doesn't mean much to you. But I do think we'll see some righteous defense at the higher levels. And that pretty much covers it for Uther. I don't know how much any of you guys play Uther, but I feel like these are just great changes. None of them I can't be mad about.
Like, I played a lot of Uther, but I never did the piano build, and I hate your build, and I hate the piano build. But, like, the piano build is the way to go. Yeah.
Calling it my build it's the build I wrote up for the website, but yeah, it's just the standard Uther build. It was around before I even, started pianoing.
Yeah, I think
I'd love to take credit for it, but no.
Uther's one of my go-to healers in the league if I have to play support. I usually lose with them just because I'm a bad support, but I like what they did. I hope they do this more often, where they're just like, we're not going to touch the talents that are currently picked because we think balance-wise Uther's okay. Right. We want to increase the talent diversity, so let's just buff everything else. They give him these cool things like Righteous Defense and Blessed Champion with his new effects and stuff, where it's like, okay, I could see taking this right now, and Holy Fire is more interesting and stuff like that. It's like we'll buff these lower talents, we'll give him some cool stuff, but we'll leave the build that we know is working alone, right? So I really like that approach to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great way to approach heroes who are, like you said, in a good spot, but have a lot of junk talents or just stuff. Like, they took out stuff I wouldn't pick in a million years. Like, you will never hear me cry about not having block, reach, amplified healing, or imposing presence. Those are all talents that you wouldn't take on Uther in a million years. Clairvoyance is the only one you can say, hey, I might have used that if I needed vision and I had no use for stealth. If for some reason they were like, yeah, we're Nova, or we're Zeratul and Zagara, that's... and we don't have a heavy CC tank. That's the only time he would have taken Clairvoyance, and it was so rare that I'm also not going to miss that. But at least that had some form of functionality. But all the rest of those talents, just hot garbage on a support. What are you doing giving a support imposing presence? By the time it takes any effect, you're dead, and your teammates are wondering where their support is. So, yeah. Jimmy, I'll throw it back to you. You run this ship. I've ran it into the ground, so you got to steer us out of the.
Yeah, but once again, that's not even all the changes that happened to many heroes. Stitches, I kind of want to mention that he got a helping hand built in now, which is fun. Dahaka got some changes. Liort got some changes that makes me want to play him a little bit again, see if he's viable. The biggest one, I think, that might affect kind of the lower ranks, I would say, is Dwarf Toss no longer grants Unstoppable on Muradin, which will make things interesting, to say the least. But
it gives him damage reduction after he uses it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a better engage tool and a worse disengage.
Yeah, that was a change that specifically was I think this is really cool, by the way. I'm sorry to run over, but
no, go.
This was a change specifically targeted to make the pro scene a little weaker in something they were abusing, while also buffing the casual scene. Because they weren't taking advantage of that the way the pros were. But we're going to know, like a lot of the casual players from Murdered, they're going to know that 50% reduction on damage is really nice during that leap.
Was a silver player ever actually leaping out? Or are they always choosing it to jump?
Of a bone prison, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Now people who just play him regularly, it's going to be like, oh, okay, the resistance buff helps. But pros aren't going to be able to sit there and abuse the hell out of the invulnerability.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But yeah, make sure to go read those notes on heroesofthestorm.blizzpro.com for that and many more articles. After this episode, if you're watching live, we will be playing in the game portion, so make sure to go into Heroes of the Storm, type /join BlizzPro, and we'll throw together some games there. I imagine we'll play some quick match to show off some of these hero changes a little bit. And also, make sure to check it out if you haven't already, but we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/heroespowerhour. You can go there and donate to us to help out with the show, and that really just helps us with any hardware issues or any things that kind of come up that cost money. It does cost money to run this show, and everyone, there's 4 different computers right now running to help run this show, and sometimes just things happen, and we will help use that towards any issues that come up with that. And also, we're going to start up our raffles again shortly, so make sure to invite your friends to the Power Hour to win some skins and maybe some BattleNet gift cards in the future. But yeah, make sure to check it out. You're never required to donate to the Patreon. It just the one advantage it does give you priority during our play sessions after the live show here. So if that's something you're interested in and would like to donate towards that, go for it. And it also gives you a little badge on our Discord channel. And I forgot the exact URL for that, but there's a unique Discord URL now. I think it's discord.gg/blitzpro. If I had to guess, something like that. But yeah,
one thing I can guarantee to our patron users: Willie doesn't show up at your house and talk about Chen for 3 hours when you're a patron donator. People who aren't donating to patron don't have that same protection. Just saying.
This is a true statement.
It is.
It happen.
Willie just knocks on random people's houses and starts talking about Chen.
Yeah.
Have you our Lord and Savior Chen Storms?
Yeah, exactly.
The correct term is Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness. I like it.
That's a good one.
There's only 144,000 drunks who are going to get into heaven.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to start working on that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's the doctrine of Chen.
Jehovah.
But yeah, I think that is going to be it for episode number 65 of the Heroes Power Hour. Thank you once again, everyone, for coming in and checking out the show. I saw the numbers were getting up there quite a bit, so thank you, everyone, for coming out and seeing our live stream. We hope to see you once again next week for another episode of the Heroes Power Hour. Good night. Sleep tight.
Stay tight.
Stay tight.